We start our story off with Gohan telling Krillin about the tournament, and 18 the prize money. 18 thinks inviting her brother would be a good idea because the Saiyans are participating and she wants a chance to actually win the money. Krillin and 18 would go to 17's house and ask if he would want to join. He says that he's getting a job as a forest ranger soon, but it has been a little tight on money so far, so maybe he'll join. And when the tournament rolls around, everyone is surprised to see 17. That is quickly overshadowed by the arrival of Goku. Everybody would talk to Goku and then do the punch test. The punch test would go normally with Piccolo scoring a 210. 17 wanted to updo his rival, who scores a 211. One-upping Piccolo. Now that they're qualifiers for the tournament, they would go watch the junior tournament. 17 would be impressed by the skill and power Trunks is showing at such a young age. And when the junior tournament ends, the tournament finally starts up. 17 would take the spot of the Supreme Kai, who switches the spot of Kibito, and Kibito taking the spot of Pintar. Piccolo would tell Krillin not to fight this guy because he has a terrible feeling about him. Krillin would decide to go in anyway and prove that he can do it, so he walks in the ring. The two fighters stood opposite of each other in the ring, and Krillin could sense Kibito's confidence, and he could tell that Kibito was underestimating him, thinking that he would be an easy opponent to defeat. Krillin decides to use this to his advantage. He knew that he had to be careful, but he also knew that luck could be on his side. The fight began and Kibito launched a barrage of powerful attacks at Krillin. Krillin was quick, however, and managed to dodge most of them. He responded with a few powerful punches of his own, but Kibito blocked them with ease. Krillin knew he had to change his strategy. He decided to use his speed and agility to his advantage, darting around the ring and keeping Kibito on the defensive. Kibito was caught off guard by Krillin's speed and began to grow frustrated as he launched a massive energy blast at Krillin. But Krillin managed to dodge it in the last second. As Kibito was recovering from his attack, Krillin saw his opening. He launched a lightning-fast kick at Kibito's side and managed to catch him off guard. Kibito stumbled backwards and Krillin saw his chance. He pressed his advantage, launching a flurry of punches and kicks that drove Kibito to the edge of the ring. With one final powerful blow, Krillin sent Kibito tumbling out of the ring. The crowd erupted into cheers as Krillin raised his arms in victory. Kibito had heavily underestimated Krillin, and it had cost him the fight. Krillin knew that he had been lucky, but he also knew that his skill and quick thinking had played a role in his victory. The next fight was ready to begin. Piccolo versus 17, the ultimate rematch. The two opponents quickly began to trade blows, exchanging fast and powerful strikes. Android 17 was incredibly quick and agile, but Piccolo's strength and experience gave him an edge. However, as the fight progressed, it became clear that Android 17 was not going to be an easy opponent to defeat. As the two continued to fight, Android 17 launched a barrage of punches and kicks at Piccolo, and the Namekian warrior was able to dodge most of the attacks. He was starting to get tired. Suddenly, Android 17 launched a powerful energy blast at Piccolo, who managed to dodge it just in time. Thinking quickly, Piccolo realized he needed to change his strategy if he wanted to win the fight. He took a deep breath, then launched a flurry of ki blasts at Android 17. The android managed to dodge most of them, but one of the blasts hit him directly to the chest, sending him flying backwards. Piccolo seized the opportunity and charged at Android 17, who was still recovering from the blast. With lightning-fast movements, Piccolo delivered a powerful punch to the android's gut, then followed up with a swift kick to the head. Android 17 fell to the ground, dazed and unable to continue. The crowd erupted into cheers as Piccolo was declared the winner. The Namekian warrior had won. 17 would congratulate Piccolo and watch the tournament, as Shin would ask Gohan to show him his full power, locking him down and letting Spopovich steal his energy. After this, Shin would tell everyone about Boo. 17 would decide to go with the gang since he has nothing to do. Krillin would decide to stay since 17 would be going instead. When they arrived, Dabura would still spit on Piccolo, but not even bother with 17 since he couldn't read his power level. When they arrived in the ship, they are greeted by Pui, who begins to rant and rave, and the Supreme Kai is also ranting and raving. His Saiyans are also messing around, so 17 would run up on Pui, exploding him in half. Everyone stops talking and they decide to go down. Goku would still fight Yakon. At the tournament, it is now announced as a battle royale since everybody left. The battle royale begins and 18 starts off with knocking out all the fodder, while Krillin maneuvers around Mighty Mask gracefully since his martial arts experience trounces on the two young Saiyans. Krillin, noticing the odd movements of the fighter, he would cut them in half, exposing the two boys. Hercule would be in shock in what's happening as he would watch 18 and Krillin fight, with him using his solar flare blinding her and cutting off the arena with his Kienzan, making her fall out of the ring gracefully. 18 really wouldn't care, so she would just let it happen. As Trunks and Goten go off to leave, 18 would follow, leaving Marin in Chi-Chi and Bulma's care, so Hercule wouldn't be able to convince Krillin to take the fall, so Krillin would promptly knock him out, becoming the 25th World Martial Arts Champ. Hercule would say that he had a real bad stomachache, and that's why he lost. And the crowd would easily believe him, and that's the end of the tournament. Gohan and Dabura would fight like usual, so that would all lead up to the same results, leading into Majin Vegeta. When they teleported back to the tournament arena, 17 would also try to fight Vegeta, but he would be told off by Goku, and he would leave with Supreme Kai and Gohan. Krillin would also be there, but wouldn't interfere, due to him knowing that there's nothing he can do. The fight between Goku and Majin Vegeta would go the same. 17 would let Gohan to fight Deborah again, eventually leading up to the resurrection of Majin Buu. Both of them together even wouldn't stand a chance. They would promptly get beat down by Buu viciously. He would knock all three out, and Piccolo would be released from the stone because Majin Buu would kill Deborah. Piccolo would have been greeted by 18 and the boys. Vegeta, when he's going to fight Buu, would realize he can't sense Gohan, so he would assume him and 17 got killed by Buu, so that's what he would tell Piccolo and 18. The rest of the Buu saga would really go normally, and Vegeta's sacrifice to Buu being the same, just with 18 watching instead of Krillin. Goku would wake up, and everyone else would eventually make their way to the lookout, to group up there, like in canon. Kobita would be revived, and he would find Gohan, 17, and Shin. When the three were awoken, they would promptly be teleported to the world of the Kais, training Gohan, but Gohan would rather be teleported to Earth to help there, than beyond the world of the Kais for training. 17 also asked to leave, but someone needs to stay and be the last defense of Earth, so Gohan told him to stay. Shin told him that they could leave, but they need a couple hours to rest. 17 is tasked to pull out the Z-Sword. He would have a lot of trouble pulling it out, more than Gohan. He would keep pulling and powering up, eventually reaching his max power, still pulling, and he yanks out the Z-Sword. Everybody is shocked. 17 begins his training with the Z-Sword. Events all the way up to Goku's departure would stay the same, until Shin would teleport Gohan to the lookout. This would be about the time Goku has to leave. Everybody would be happy that Gohan was alive. He would tell 18 her brother was alive, just in the world of the Kais. With this, Goku would leave, heading off to the world of the Kais to see Android 17. With Gohan on the lookout, it would have kept Goten and Trunks more in line and actually listened to Piccolo. When Goku finally arrives in the land of the Kais, Goku would suggest testing the Z-Sword's durability, with 17 also wanting to figure it out. So they decide to test it on 17's barrier, actually swiping right through it. So they decide to try on Kachin metal. 17 swings the blade, snapping it in half. Everybody's shocked at what happened, until an old man comes out with the sword. This is Elder Kai, the supreme Kai before Shin and his masters.
17, you have massive potential. It's only hindered by your non-organic parts, but I can help with that for a price.
What price?
A kiss from a pretty girl, of course.
I'm not gonna give that to you.
Then you won't get my powers.
Fine.
Fine.
Goku would step in and beg Elder Kai to unlock 17's potential.
Wait, please. I'll find you a pretty girl. Just please unlock 17's potential.
Elder Kai reluctantly began the ritual to unlock 17's potential. Back on Earth, Majin Buu would be terrorizing Earth, as he would usually, killing Babidi and settling down with Hercule. With Gohan on the lookout, this gave them a little more confidence, so they would decide to attack Majin Buu. Buu would be having a great time with Hercule, until Gotenks, Piccolo, and Gohan would surround him. They would surround Buu and begin to attack him. Gotenks would beat on Buu hard until Buu saw Mr. Satan get hurt. Now the three would just look confused as both Boos begin to attack each other, until the evil Buu eats Fat Buu. They create Super Buu. Buu would get beat on some more until he snuck over and absorbed Piccolo, evening the playing field. His absorption of Piccolo did boost him up. He would easily start beating on Gohan until Gotenks went Super Saiyan 2, knocking Buu off of Gohan. Buu would stalemate with the fusion, and he knew he needed something to change the tide in battle. Until he remembered Gohan. This would be a weaker Buuhan, but it would be enough to surpass the fusion. Gotenks would be getting beat down by Buu, with no way to counter, until they defuse, and they begin to run to the lookout. Buu decides to let them go, so he can let them fuse again, so he can get their power. Because remember, Gohan isn't the strongest here, so he would want to jump on Gotenks first. When the boys arrive at the lookout, they begin to tell everybody the news up there about Piccolo and Gohan getting absorbed by Buu. Everybody's in shock of what happened. That is until Dende would suggest the room of spirit in time for the boys to train in, so they could surpass Buu, but the people outside would have to distract Buu. That is when Buu arrives at the lookout, already knowing that they were going to use the time chamber due to having Piccolo and Gohan within him. But he decides he's going to give the boys 2 hours to train to surpass him. Everybody is excited by this, until Buu says,
"But I have to keep myself entertained."
He then began to eradicate everybody on Earth with no remorse whatsoever. Everybody is horrified by this action, but Krillin forces the boys into the chamber. An hour passes and Majin Buu is getting visibly agitated, getting antsy and impatient. Even with Piccolo and Gohan in him, it's hard for Buu to wait. So he decides to have a little fun, begin to beat on the Z-Fighters there. Krillin, Yamcha, and 18 are beaten on for fun. Buu decides to absorb them, just in case Gotenks comes out just a little stronger than they should have. Absorbing them, his physical body would make no changes, but he would gain a terrifying skill, infinite energy, making Buu even more dangerous. As Buu begins to go to the time chamber, he is kicked in the head and knocked off the lookout by Android 17. He is then chased down while in the sky, 17 wrapping his arms around Buu, putting up his barrier, and then exploding his ki inside, hitting the ground, disintegrating the ground, and parts of Buu. Buu angrily charges at 17, only to be punched in the face and blasted through the chest. Boo begins to angrily swing on 17, only for him to kick Boo, taking his head off and blasting Boo's body into nothing. Boo would regenerate and compose himself, starting to think clearly, until he senses a huge power level on the way. It's Gotenks, and he's blasting his way here now. Boo starts to panic, but he's punched in the gut by 17. Boo would try to run, but he's trapped in by 17's barrier. They begin to brawl, 17 beating on Boo heavily. Boo would never get tired due to the infinite energy engine, but he can't keep up with 17's new power. Gotenks would finally arrive on the battlefield. 17 puts his barrier down.
Great, we can take down Boo.
We? No, I think you mean I, and I think you should move out of the way.
Gotenks launched himself at Boo. A flurry of punches and kicks, but the monster simply absorbed his attacks and laughed in response. Gotenks began to charge to his max power, unleashing a massive burst of energy that shook the entire planet. Boo was momentarily stunned by the display, but he quickly regained his composure and began to counterattack with his own devastating energy blast. The two fighters traded blows for what seemed like hours, each one pushing themselves to the limit. Gotenks was quick and agile, darting around Boo's attacks and striking back with powerful energy beams. Boo was tough and durable, able to shrug off even the most powerful attacks with ease. As the battle raged on, Gotenks began to grow overconfident. He taunted Boo, and he made fun of him, believing that he had the upper hand, but he was wrong. Suddenly, Boo launched a piece of himself at Gotenks, which wrapped around him. Gotenks began thrashing around, but there was nothing he could do. It was no use. Boo began to absorb him, becoming Boo-Tanks. If you want to scale right now, it would go Boo, Android 17, Gotenks, Goku, Gohan, Vegeta, and then everybody else. Android 17 tried to stop Boo, but it was already too late. With that, Boo rushes at 17, pounding on him relentlessly, paying him back for every hit he gave him, until Boo is kicked by Goku, knocking him down.
17, put this on now.
Why? What does it do?
It'll fuse our bodies together permanently.
17 really had to think on this, but seeing Boo makes him realize he needs to do this, so he puts the earring on, and he fuses into Goku, creating Sun 17. Vegeta would arrive, confused at the fusion since he couldn't sense his energy. Vegeta would just watch this fight go down. The two warriors clashed with a fierce intensity, exchanging blows and energy blasts that shook the very ground beneath them. Despite Boo's immense strength, Sun 17 was more than a match for him. He was fast and agile, dodging and weaving around Boo's attacks with ease. He also had the power of both Goku and Android 17 at his disposal, making him a formidable opponent. As the battle raged on, Sun 17 began to gain the upper hand. He pummeled Boo with a series of punches and kicks, each one more devastating than the last. Boo tried to retaliate, but the fusion was always one step ahead, effortlessly dodging his attacks and countering with his own. As the two go at each other, both not getting tired since they both have infinite energy engines, Boo decides to absorb the fusion to make him part of him. But that was what Sun 17 was planning. So when Boo decides to absorb him, he puts his barrier up and is inside of Boo. While inside Boo, 17 and Goku are forced to fight parasitic worms and illusions of their friends and family. After that messed up experience, they make it to Boo's brain. Outside of Boo, Boo spots Vegeta and chases after him. Boo would begin to beat on Vegeta, with him having no way to defend himself. But Boo begins to scream, and everyone is teleported out of Boo. But this is when Super Boo turns into something a little more unpredictable, who just raises his hand and destroys the planet. Goku could only manage to grab 17 and Vegeta before the Earth blows up, and they are on the world of the Kais, safe. That is until Boo follows them there and begins to fight everyone there. Everybody would launch themselves at Boo, 17 doing the most damage since he's the strongest of the group and always at full power. He would beat on Boo until Boo started getting more and more irrational and angry. He began throwing death spheres like no tomorrow. Goku and Vegeta would have to stop these so 17 could stay on the offensive. As the two are distracted with the death spheres, 17 begins to finally lay into Boo, dealing some real damage. That is Boo finally started to realize that he is not going to win, so he decides to flee, but 17 puts his barrier up and trapped Boo in it.
It's truly a shame a creature like you can exist in the universe. But now this is the end, Boo. Say goodbye.
Boo was really scared now, as 17 charges full power energy blast directly at Boo. 17 charges his attack and launches at Boo, completely eradicating him and keeping the universe safe once and for all. Well, that's it for now. Tell me if you enjoyed the video in the comment and show your appreciation by liking and subscribing. I like to thank these guys for lending their voices in my video. I always appreciate it. So if you liked the video, go see more on my channel. And I think this is goodbye.